Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Leslie with the New Mexico Small Business Development Center, and I'm pleased to introduce everyone to Dr. Marvin Lozano. Dr. Lozano has so much information to impart on accessing financial resources, and the great thing about his webinars is that he is going to be presenting it bilingually in English and Spanish. I want to remind everyone, if you have any questions, please type it in the Q&A and we'll pick them up throughout the entire webinar. And I know he's good at grabbing the questions because I've seen him do it. So don't be shy and get those questions in. So with all that, I will turn it over to Dr. Marvin Lozano.
Well, good evening, all of you that are tuning in, and want to welcome you to this workshop that we're going to do bilingually. The idea behind that is to make sure that we are as inclusive as we can be with this topic, accessing money from banks, the alternative lenders and SBA for your small business. It's for you all, because during these difficult COVID-19 times, any kind of information that will help you better prepare yourself to access the funding you need is important, okay? So I'll do this in English and Spanish. Acceso a dinero de los bancos, prestamistas alternativos y SBA para mi pequeña empresa mientras sobreviviendo COVID-19. Entonces es para ustedes. Ustedes son los emprendedores y queremos asistirlos cuando van a solicitar fondos de un banco o préstamos alternativos del SBA, porque todos tienen requisitos, ¿no? Y ya pueden aprender cómo prepararse. Okay. Next. So I come to you with very much a passion for teaching this topic because I have seen how it benefits small business owners. I have been a small business owner. I have also worked on the side of the commercial lending area for many years. I was a commercial loan officer in a good-sized bank. Prior to becoming a full-time entrepreneurial instructor with a large community college in New Mexico, and now I focus on consulting with small business in the state, and I find it very, very rewarding. And so I'll share with you some little examples as we go through this. So I hope you find them useful for yourselves. Entonces yo soy el Dr. Lozano, aquí presente para ayudarles a ustedes que son emprendedores. Yo tengo tiempo como funcionario en un banco comercial. Es para decirles que entiendo cómo piensan ellos, cómo piensan cuando hacen los préstamos. También aparte de eso, fui profesor de cómo ser emprendedor de negocios con un colegio aquí en Nuevo México bastante grande. Y también soy consultor ahora de emprendedores, asistiendo a grupos como prestamistas alternativos, cómo ayudarle a la gente que necesita préstamos, especialmente si hablan español, ¿no? Next. And so just briefly, the overall idea here is to prepare you, give you the opportunity to be better prepared, I would say, to access money, as we said with the title, banks, alternative lenders, and SBA, because they are all very active during COVID and during non-COVID periods of time, and everything that you can get to help you access. So the knowledge I bring to you is over 25 years of experience dealing with these folks. So I'm trying to condense it so that you can be best prepared when you approach the lenders. Esta información en visión general es para prepararles ustedes cuando van a conseguir fondos, porque es bastante difícil, ¿no? Cuando tenemos que entrar a un banco a hablar con alguien que va a decidir si le vamos a ayudar. Yo voy a tratar de darles unos conceptos para que estén más bien preparados cuando quieren hacer aplicación para fondos, ¿no? Para su negocio. Okay. Next. And so briefly, this is the same thing we encapsulated before. So just to let you know, and additionally, something I haven't said is that the SPD system is there to help you. They're throughout New Mexico, and their advisors are very good in providing counseling assistance that you don't need to pay for. You simply need to make an appointment for the time with an advisor and sit down, and whether it's business planning or assistance with the type of let's say organization you may want to have if you're a startup, and how you register with the city and the state. They can help you with all of that. Entonces, nomás quería recomendar los SPDCs, las oficinas en Nuevo México están para ayudarle a ustedes. No les van a cobrar, pero tienen que hacer una cita. Están localizados en casi todos los colegios y las universidades de Nuevo México, ¿ok? Entonces vayan a Google y vayan para ver a quién llamar y cómo se pueden registrar, ¿ok? Next. Objectives, well, we're going to be talking about that briefly, and you'll see in the outline that we just want to better prepare you as you go down to your journey in getting funding and growing your business, what you can do to help you. Objetivos, otra vez para prepararlos bien, ¿no? Ojalá que pueden usar estos conceptos y van y se presentan con el objetivo de consiguiendo los fondos que quieren, y les asista a ustedes con tener buen éxito con su negocio. Okay. Next. Bueno, entonces les quiero decir esto. What I'll do this time is I'll flip it and do it in Spanish first, and then I'll come to English. Okay. Es resumen de la presentación para decirles que quiero enfocar en tres partes. Primero es cómo pueden tener acceso a capital. Segundo es cómo pueden sostener su negocio ya cuando tienen los fondos. Claramente quieren usar los fondos para pagar sus cuentas, pero para crecer, ¿no? Tener buen éxito. Por eso el crecimiento es importante y la resiliencia. Y luego, ¿qué son los que están participando en teniendo financieros para asistir a ustedes? ¿Qué son los recursos que pueden utilizar ustedes para prepararse con ellos? In English is basically, as you can see, we've tried to make this clear and concise. Always an important thing, as I have taught for many years at the community college level and with several private universities here in New Mexico. Always clear and concise, right? That's what we always focus in assignments and in presenting material to folks that are students. So three things: accessing capital. How do you do it? How do you prepare yourself? How do you sustain your business? That's the second area that we focus on. And then how do you grow, and how do you stay resilient? And then the third thing is, who do you apply to? And we'll give a brief overview of that towards the end of the presentation. Okay, so lots of material to cover. Hang in there. Lots of material. And by the way, if you aren't able to catch it all here, go to YouTube. YouTube will have the same presentation, and you can watch it as many times as you want. Okay. Next. Bueno, aquí los conceptos básicos de acceso a capital. Aquí les quiero dar una idea. ¿Qué son los conceptos básicos? Entonces, si ustedes pueden entenderlos, practicarlos, usarlos, les van a tener mejor oportunidad de conseguir los fondos que quieren. Basics of accessing capital. There are basics that all lenders, people that we call loan officers, right, that they look at, they're taught when they work for these organizations, banks, alternative lenders or SBA, they're taught to look at an application a certain way. And so they know what they're looking for. I want to give you some idea of what that is in this particular first part of the presentation, Roman numeral 1, okay? Next. Bueno, son cuatro cosas que son muy importantes, ¿ok? Piensen ustedes de esta forma. Cuando hacen su solicitud, quieren una cantidad de dinero, la gente que se le presenta, ustedes pueden estar mejor preparados si piensan antes de presentarse o que sea en Google, en online o si se presentan cara a cara, ¿no? ¿Cómo está su crédito? Piénselo usted. Si tiene buen crédito, no va a ser problema. Si ha tenido unos problemas con su crédito, prepárense para explicárselo a la gente que están en la organización donde se van a presentar a pedir fondos, ¿ok? Porque lo que pasa con crédito, algunas veces alguien tiene problemas se enfermó alguien, especialmente en COVID, ¿no? A mucha gente no pudo trabajar porque estaban enfermos y entonces les afectó a su crédito. Entonces, vayan preparados a explicarle a la gente donde quieren conseguir fondos cómo está su crédito. Piensen en número dos. Número dos viene siendo flujo de efectivo. Aquí no es difícil. La mejor cosa que pueden hacer ustedes es tratar de leer poquito de flujo de efectivo y entender cómo trabaja. Ahorita vamos a hablar de eso. En realidad, flujo de efectivo viene siendo lo que entra al negocio para pagar el préstamo. Piénselo, ¿cómo va a pagar su préstamo? ¿Con qué fondos? ¿Qué es el flujo de efectivo que entra a su negocio? Y si no tiene negocio todavía, ¿qué entra a las cuentas de la casa, ¿no? Si está trabajando usted, si está trabajando otra gente en la familia, pues, ¿quién va a ayudar a él con el pago? Número tres viene siendo la garantía. ¿Ok? Piénsalo de esta forma. Número tres, ¿no? Es que cuando alguien pide algo, en cambio, esta gente que hace préstamos quieren saber qué va a poner usted en forma de garantía. ¿Va a poner usted un título de un carro, de un camión, de una troca? ¿Va a poner usted una maquinaria, un equipo? Porque la cosa es que la gente que hace préstamos o participa en esta forma de trabajo quieren saber, en cambio, qué vas a ofrecer, ¿ok? Para que ellos se aseguren que les van a pagar. Número cuatro son las condiciones, y eso claramente las condiciones que tenemos ahorita son difíciles, porque COVID-19 sigue, ¿no? Sigue ahora cambiando y algunos están vacunados y otros no. Entonces, aquí la cosa es, piénselo usted, ¿cómo va usted a tener buen éxito, pagar su préstamo, pagar línea de crédito, pagar las obligaciones que ya tiene? Porque las condiciones están afectando, ¿no? So here what I'm saying is basically you will benefit by keeping in mind about these four basic concepts that all loan officers in an organization are taught early on, many times before they even make a loan. I was sent early on to credit school for commercial, which are basically business lending, and went through a rigorous training uh, to understand how to analyze financial statements, how to put together a loan, a business loan, and that. And at the crux of all this was what? These four basic concepts. So credit being, how is the applicant's credit? So here you need to think, I would recommend that you think about what your credit is before you go and ask someone, an organization, regardless of what it is, the banks, the credit unions, alternative lenders, or SBA, right? Those are the ones we're talking about today. Think about your credit a little bit. Have you had good credit? If you do, it hasn't been affected. This will be easy for you. If you had some dings on your credit, meaning that you were late on some accounts, and it's very possible, right? Because we've been during this difficult COVID-19 period, then maybe it impacted your ability to make payments on a timely basis. Think of this as an opportunity for you to explain it. And believe me, there's a lot of compassion that's also involved in the decision making that goes on as to whether to fund your business or not. So be prepared to do that. The cash flow is the second thing. Sometimes it's a little bit intimidating for folks who don't have any finance background, but it shouldn't be. Cash flow is simply, think of it as cash that flows into the business. That does what? It pays expenses. So here, if you get some kind of loan, although it may be a grant initially, read the details carefully, because some of these grants, they convert to loans and loan payments if one doesn't meet the requirements. So you want to be clear on that. And so cash flow, and we'll have a little template to show you what that looks like in the following slides. Collateral, what is that? Collateral is basically what you are offering in exchange for the funds that you want. Well, what could that possibly be, right? Well, collateral in terms of a business loan is what you put up in exchange. Today, I was working with one particular business that I'm consulting the alternative lender people with, and he's grown very, very well, even during the pandemic. And he's looking to establish a third location. He's been renting the third location where he parks a lot of the vehicles and equipment that he uses, but now he wants to buy because the rent clearly is money that's going out the door, but he's not gaining any real appreciation in assets, meaning that it's an expense. He really doesn't benefit. He's ready now because he's making money there. And what we have been helping with has been how does he then offer a good collateral to offset the money. And in this case, it's a commercial industrial real estate that he's offering as collateral. It has good value and it's more than adequate to pay the loan. So you don't have to have that. You may have a title to a car, you have a small loan. You know, small can be anywhere from $5,000 in a lender's eyes to $50,000. So think of how would you offer collateral? Would it be a vehicle and some equipment, maybe a second deed on a house? Don't be surprised if they ask you to put up that, because what they're trying to find out is how serious are you about going forward with making your business successful in the long run, right? And we'll be talking about that in just a little bit, right? Because it's more than paying the loan. Can they help you grow and employ people in New Mexico, right? They want to look at that. And then fourth are the conditions. And here is, think of that as within your industry. For example, this individual that I was working with, we looked at his industry and saw that within his industry, right, what's happening is there's projected growth as soon as the next several years, because we're coming out of COVID, and as we do, more folks will be wanting his services. Okay, so how do those services, how are they impacted in your industry? You know, maybe you sell food. If so, look at fast food, or look at the restaurants. You know, what kind of industry are you in? The food industry, right? And what do you expect to happen in the future? What's occurring now? Yes, it's difficult with COVID. But what's the forecast in the next several years, right? So 4 things, real important, basic concepts. I assure you, if you prepare yourself with these 4 concepts, you'll be way ahead of other applicants as you go forward and really improve your chances of getting what you want. So credit, cash flow, collateral, and conditions, okay? Next. Bueno, aquí, so I'll go to Spanish here, and as you can kind of see the outline in English too, there's something called pre-startup expense or pre-startup estimate, okay? Not expense, but estimate. And this is what you'll be putting, if you can envision having for yourself a sheet of paper, okay? And here I have a sheet from my, my notebook. You could basically put that at the top, right? And prepare a page. Can be in pencil, can be in pen, or if you really want to be impressive, do it in Excel. But title it at the top, pre-startup estimate. Why is this important? Well, because what you're trying to do is show that your current situation, right, as you go forward and applying for funds, you are aware of the cash that you have on hand. So you can kind of see that's one of the bullets. You know, if you already have a loan or a line of credit, you know, you want to definitely not only show where it's at and what the balance is, but why you took out a loan, and maybe what the payments are on the loan and the interest rate. If you have a line of credit, what is the amount of that line of credit? What is the interest rate? And is there any other cash? What we're trying to find out here and I'm saying I'm putting myself in the place of someone who's right talking with you as you come in, and let's kind of, you know, play here a little role where I am the loan officer, and I say, you know, tell me about your current situation. And so you come in with a page that says pre-startup estimate, and you say, look, I've thought about this. This is the money I have in my business checking account. If you haven't started yet, you know, it could be your personal account that will be used later. Or, you know, preferably somewhere down the road, you want to open a business checking account, right? And then the loan, if you've taken out any loans or lines of credit for the business, here you want to show these folks who are applying for credit that you've already got some loans or credits. That's not a bad thing. It's just informing folks. Maybe other cash. Maybe you have money from family that, you know, is trying to help you out, and you want to put that down too. So you have a total of what pre-startup. Before pre-startup, meaning if you're starting the business, that's the startup. The pre is right before you start. The dates, you know, might be the month before you start. Aquí la idea es tener algo proyectado, ¿no? Aquí, cuando vamos a hablar ahorita de flujo efectivo, quiero enseñarles, antes de eso, pueden tener una página, ¿ok? Y pónganle arriba el título, estimación antes de iniciar. ¿Iniciar qué? Iniciar su negocio. Entonces, muchas veces yo hablo con gente que quieren empezar un negocio, pero no se han preparado porque no tienen algo por escrito para presentar, para enseñar, mire, esto es lo que yo pienso y cómo pienso yo con mi negocio, y preparando una página y le ponen estimación antes de iniciar, pueden enseñarle a los funcionarios, a la gente donde van a hacer una solicitud, que mira, tengo dinero en la cuenta de cheques, ¿okay? Mira, tengo un préstamo o tengo una línea de crédito. Si no tiene, pone cero, no pone que no tengo nada, ¿ok? Pero si tiene otro dinero, vamos a decir, por ejemplo, que alguien en la familia le dijo a usted, mira, yo le voy a hacer un préstamo. No vayan con esta gente que le van a cobrar intereses o muchos intereses, ¿no? Ellos te ofrecen los fondos. Entonces, aquí pones en total que estás poco preparado, ya tienes inversión en tu negocio antes de empezar el negocio, ¿ok? Si ya tienes un negocio que opera, también se puede utilizar esto. Puedes poner aquí que antes de solicitar el préstamo, esto es lo que tienes disponible, esto es lo que tienes en préstamo, línea de crédito, otro dinero. Muy básico, pero que les enseñas a esta gente que está analizando si eres buen cliente, que has pensado lo que quieres hacer. Eso cuenta por mucho. Okay. Next. Igual como van a hacer esa página anteriormente de lo que estaban haciendo, aquí vas a tener una página segunda. Cash paid out, efectivo pagar. Y van a preparar aquí, vas a poner, en español son compras, en inglés son, ¿qué? Purchases, merchandise. En español son, ¿qué? Compra de capital. En inglés es capital purchase. Esto viene siendo como maquinaria, equipo. This is basically equipment or machinery. That's considered capital when you're doing this. And then I have cleaning supplies, and in Spanish it's suministros de limpieza. You know, if you invested in some of these cleaning supplies, you know, some businesses that I've seen actually sell them on site. But if you have them available, such as masks, and you bought some inventory, show that you know you're aware of COVID and you're doing something to be a socially conscious small business. There actually is an area of entrepreneurship. It's called social entrepreneurship, by the way. And it's when folks start a business. Social entrepreneurs are those that go and are trying to do a community good, right? They're trying to help. So here, this is your contribution in that area. Renta viene siendo que paga usted para localizarse en un edificio. This is rent in English, right? What are you paying to have your business in some building? And then others, a telephone maybe, or anything else. In essence, this is the cash you've paid out when? You've paid it out prior to starting the business, and you want to show anyone who's considering lending you more money, that you've already made an investment in yourself, okay? If you have the business operating already, you still want to show this because you want to give them some idea of where you are at present date prior to getting more funds from them. This may come in the form of what we call a balance sheet. In accounting, a balance sheet is like a picture of your business, okay? And remember, you're preparing this a month before you do what? Before, well, you don't necessarily have to do it a month before, but it sure should show the picture. For example, if I'm starting my business in September, I should show a picture of what my business looked like when? In August. So there's some idea of what's happening, okay? Next. Okay, I'll do this in Spanish first and I'll come to English. Aquí el flujo de efectivo, acuérdense que es uno de los conceptos de analizar la aplicación de alguien que quiere fondos para su negocio. Entonces vamos a decir que ustedes van preparados, ya antes que le preguntan a usted cómo está su flujo de efectivo, usted ya tiene una página preparada, unos 6 meses está preparada la página, ¿no? Y usted le dice a la gente que es la funcionario, que si es quien sea, les dice, mira, yo ya preparé mis meses. Yo tengo aquí enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo y junio. Ustedes pueden poner los meses que les aplican a ustedes. Ahorita andamos en qué? Andamos en la 16 de septiembre, ¿no? Entonces la idea aquí viene siendo que ustedes pueden poner, vamos a por ejemplo, van y ponen aquí que en vez de septiembre, ponen octubre, noviembre, diciembre, ¿me entienden? Enero, febrero, y marzo, como los 6 meses en el ¿qué? En el futuro. Porque vamos a decir, por ejemplo, que usted anda haciendo su aplicación en septiembre, aquí está proyectando en el futuro los 6 meses, cómo va a entrar el efectivo a su negocio en forma de qué? Ventas, en forma de colecciones, si tiene crédito, si le ofrece crédito a los clientes, son colecciones de cuentas por cobrar. O si va a tener un préstamo en línea, aquí puede enseñar usted cómo va a ser los intereses, cómo le van a afectar a su negocio y cómo va a entrar los fondos si los necesita de ese préstamo en línea de crédito. En otras palabras, usted ha pensado, analizado algo del futuro, ha pensado como emprendedor, ha pensado en el futuro, cómo va a entrar los fondos, ¿ok? Y tiene los 6 meses que le aplican. Si le piden más meses, pues ya tiene los 6 meses, ¿ok? Entonces, pues nada más agregarle más meses. So what I'm saying here is, here's the cash flow, small little template that is very useful. And I may say that it is very impressive to anyone that's doing business lending. Why? Because it shows that you have to put some analysis into your future business income. And you've thought ahead, and you see, it doesn't have to be very complicated. At the very top, it says cash on hand. That could be, remember the slide or the piece of paper, the page that I said prepare, where it shows what cash you have on hand from all sources. Here you put the total under cash on hand. Let's say the month that, this is in January, obviously, it would be the months that apply to you. So we're in September now. If let's say you were doing an application for during this month, this would look something like October, November, December, January, February, and March. It's the future 6 months. And so here, the idea is you want to show the folks you're coming to for their assistance in loan form or grant form. Okay, maybe you can get a grant of some kind, and maybe that grant you want to show how it would help in your business. It would be a source of income, of cash injection, if you will. Maybe it would help with cash receipts, cash sales. And then you'd have other forms of income coming in, cash receipts. If you sell on credit, you would call it a collections of accounts receivable. I just worked with a business, a different business this past week, and basically they do a lot of work with schools. They have grants with schools, They have grants on a federal and state basis, and they're paid via what's called an account receivable. So they do the work, and then the money comes to them somewhere down the road, 30, 60, or 90 days. And they were explaining to me that sometimes they don't get paid until, between 60 and 90 days. And so that's the receivable, right? They may do the work, let's say in October instead of January, yet they don't receive payment until when? Well, let's see, October, November, December, sometime between December and January. That's a long time from now, right? And so what they were doing was trying to qualify, and they did actually. They were very successful because we advocated for them, and they were prepared. They prepared some of these things I'm sharing with you. They prepared a line of credit request, and we were able to show with their help, right, that the line of credit will be able to sustain them while they're waiting for that money to come in 2 and 3 months down the road. Because, right, expenses don't end. Employees want to get paid their salary. The landlords want to get paid their rent. All this stuff matters. And so this is why these tools matter, okay? And you can present a picture very effectively with just a 6 to 12 month cash flow, okay? Real important and that you think of that this way, okay? Next. Bueno, les quiero decir aquí es algo para que queden motivados, ¿no? Es que como maestro, no, como profesor, me encanta ayudar a negocios, ayudar a estudiantes que quieren tener su negocio. Y lo que yo siempre en mis clases les digo, mira, piensen de esta forma, que no ames lo que eres. En otras palabras, no amen lo que son, sino lo que pueden llegar a ser. Miguel de Cervantes, que dijo esto, y muy claro les afecta a sus negocios, porque no deben de pensar como emprendedor en el futuro. Here what I'm saying is think of yourself having an entrepreneurial mindset. It's part of being a successful entrepreneur, and it brings the teacher out in me. And I always would tell, and still I tell my students, look, be clear as to where you want to go in the future, and always be thinking ahead. So if you're having good success now, that's great, okay? But I would suggest don't love what you are now. Keep thinking of the future, because things can change very quickly, and you need to be able to think as an entrepreneur does, have a mindset that welcomes change and you're prepared for it. So what do you want to become? Hopefully someone who is very flexible and who's able to survive adversity that may come to you in your business, okay? So very, just a little bit of break from the numbers there for you, okay? Next. Okay, moving on to 2. Aquí número 2, la sostenibilidad de negocio. So I'm going to do this in Spanish and then in English next, okay? So aquí la idea es que quieren sostener el negocio. Aparte de tener fondos, o que ya consiguen sus fondos, prepárense para explicarle a la gente que están analizando si le van a hacer el préstamo o no, que usted piensa muy claramente como emprendedor. Mira, que no tienen que tener una idea completa nueva. El ejemplo es, mira todos los negocios que existen que tienen un restaurante, ¿no? Pues hay muchos que existen, ¿no? Pero la idea aquí es cómo es diferente su restaurante o cómo es diferente su negocio. No necesita mucho dinero para empezar un negocio. En contrario, muchos de mis estudiantes siempre me preguntaban en clase, ¿no? Y decían, ay, pero no tengo dinero. Y yo les decía a ellos, no, pero tienes ideas, ¿no? ¿Qué es tu idea? ¿Qué tipo de negocio tienes? ¿Y cómo puedes vender tu producto, tu servicio para enseñar que sí tienes un mercado? Porque no es la cosa de tener mucho dinero, es pensar como emprendedor y si tienes mercado para vender tu producto o servicio. Número 3 es, hay que usar la experiencia y el entrenamiento que ya tienes. Y yo creo, y también los estudios dicen, que tienen más éxito ustedes como emprendedores si tratan de tener un negocio que ya tienen experiencia o entrenamiento. Lo que es difícil es cuando ustedes o alguien quiere un negocio, pero no entienden el negocio, ¿ok? Y también la gente que hace préstamos se ponen más, bueno, pues no les gusta esa idea, ¿no? Porque hay más problema que no van a pagar lo que piden en forma de fondos, si no tienen que experiencia o entrenamiento. Entonces salgan y tomen clases, hablen con otros emprendedores, traten de aprender. Tomen un clase en el colegio o la universidad, vayan a YouTube, hay muchas formas de prepararse. Y aquí también la idea es de un plan de negocio, tiene que ser 20 páginas. Aquí el SBDC, las oficinas, los consejeros le pueden ayudar a preparar esto. ¿Okay? Ellos tienen muy buena ayuda y la idea es que tengan claramente qué quieren hacer, es lo que cuenta. Y cuando escriban algo, unas 3, 4 páginas, que está muy claro en las 3, 4 páginas, es mejor de tener 20 páginas que no están claras, ¿ok? Y luego, en los años que yo he trabajado en esta industria como alguien que hacía préstamos, ¿no? Y muchas veces yo oí, ¿ok? Por eso los quiero compartir con ustedes, que gente decía en el principio que querían comprar el edificio. Y a los bancos y los otros prestamistas alternativos les pide también la pregunta que le van a hacer a ustedes. Ahorita, ¿por qué quieren comprar edificio? ¿Ok? Lo que deben de pensar es rentar un lugar que les puede sostener mientras ustedes venden su producto o servicio. ¿Ok? ¿Cómo piensa como emprendedor? Okay? So what I'm saying here is there's 5 things that contribute to your business sustainability. Why is that important? Remember in 1, we looked basically at the idea in Roman numeral 1, we were looking at some of those concepts that will help you get funds you need. Okay, and this will be on an ongoing basis. If you're an entrepreneur, you'll be out trying to get funds for many reasons. You may be growing so well that you need more funds. Again, as I said earlier, I'm working with several businesses right now that actually they've done well during COVID and they need more funding. And so I'm helping them put together their package and to put it in the format that gives them their best opportunity to get the funding. And then I work with the lender too to explain how they can pay back that loan. And so you don't need a new idea to start a business. You just need to be clear and concise. That's why I say here on number 4, it says you don't need a 20-page business plan. And that's very true. What you need to do is to be clear with those 4 things I shared earlier if you're looking for funding. That is to say what? Remember, we said, what's my credit like? We said, what's my cash flow to pay the loan? We said, 3 was, what's the collateral I'm offering? And 4, what are the conditions? You address those things, you're a long way ahead of many others to get what you need in terms of funds, okay? You don't need a lot of money. You just need to be clear on what you're going to do. And maybe if your idea isn't real clear yet, try to sell some of that product to folks you think will buy it and see what kind of research feedback you get back, and then tweak that product or that service. Because your market will tell you whether you're going to have a good business or not if you just listen. Okay, and then also, have the mentality of using the funds that you need to operate the business. And to folks that are in the lending business, buying a building doesn't do that. What it does is buys a building and locks you into a payment. What they want to see that money used for is for what? For inventory, for equipment, machinery, operating expenses that help you grow. There'll be enough time to buy a building later once you're very successful, right? Okay, so think that way. Think like an entrepreneur. Okay, so next. Here we talk about growth a little bit. Let's see here. Growth in Spanish, it's el crecimiento. So this time I'll do it in English and then I'll go to Spanish. El crecimiento, right? The growth. So the idea here is, remember, we're looking for future focus, okay? Am I well prepared to be an entrepreneur? It is going to be, if you're not familiar with this already, one of the most challenging things you'll ever do, because entrepreneurs have certain characteristics that we know from surveying those that are successful. They use those certain characteristics on a daily basis. What are they? Well, as an entrepreneur, they are frugal. They aren't spending all the money that they have, whether they're making it or borrowing it. Okay, they're very much someone who watches every penny, but they're not afraid to invest in what they need to have, be it inventory, equipment, or machinery. Okay, they're flexible. They think outside the box. They think, what can I do, to give me a better chance of growing? Okay. For example, one of the things I remember teaching along the way in entrepreneurship was when we hire an employee as an entrepreneur, as a small business, one of the problems that they found with the research is folks tend to hire somebody like themselves. So here I encourage you is hire someone who is bringing to your business skills that you don't have. If you're good at marketing, look at somebody that's good with numbers. If you're good at numbers, look at somebody that's good with people. So you want to build a team, okay? So assess whether you're prepared to go forward. That's the idea here. Reflect on your attitudes, okay? Do you think of money as something that you can manage, or does it manage you? Very important difference there, okay? Reflect on it. Get familiar with the mindset. There's a whole a lot of material that you can read about what the mindset is. In fact, today I had one of the universities call me and they wanted me to teach a class just on the mindset. And I told them, geez, I would love to do this, but I'm so busy right now with this work I'm doing with the SBDCs and as an entrepreneurial consultant that I really don't have time to do that. But they offered a class. So you see, there's folks that want to learn more and more about the entrepreneurial mindset. I would encourage you to go online to YouTube, Google entrepreneurial mindset, and you'll see what I'm talking. Okay. Okay, so I'll go to Spanish now. En español aquí, ¿qué es el crecimiento? Porque es más de creo yo, cuando hablo con esto de negocios, es más de conseguir el préstamo, ok. Muchas veces gente piensa es nomás sacar los fondos y ya me sacaban los problemas, ¿no? Saqué un préstamo, una línea de crédito. Pero realmente hay que pensar, prepararse usted antes de solicitar fondos para decirle si alguien te dice, ¿y qué vas a hacer con los fondos en un año de aquí, en 2 años? ¿Cómo te ves? ¿Creciendo o no? Aquí les puedo decir, yo me estoy preparando para ser buen emprendedor, o ya soy buen emprendedor, yo creo, porque trabajo muchas horas, pero las horas que trabajo son para crecer mi negocio. No gasto dinero que no se tiene que gastar, entiendo mi mercado, tomo clases o hago ejercicios en un libro para, en otras palabras, ¿cómo me puedo preparar? Esto tiene mucho valor, que vale para alguien que está analizando si te van a hacer el préstamo. Parte de eso, ¿qué son tus actitudes a dinero, prosperidad? Si piensas en forma de hay que gastar todo el dinero, o ya cuando saco el préstamo lo uso para otra cosa, ¿no? Hay que tener cuidado, porque muchas veces los que hacen préstamos, los bancos o los prestamistas alternativos, tienen un documento cuando usted saca su dinero que dice que usted está de acuerdo que va a usar los fondos para lo que dice en la aplicación. Si dice usted que lo va a usar para comprar equipo, una maquinaria, lo tiene que usar o va a tener problemas en el futuro, ¿no? Pueden decirles, pues págame todos los fondos porque no me dijiste la verdad, ¿ok? Entonces prepárense bien con sus aptitudes acerca del dinero. Y luego aprendan algo que es la mentalidad de emprendedor. Aquí pueden ir a Google y pongan las palabras en español y en inglés, ¿ok? Les urjo que la pongan en inglés, Entrepreneurial Mindset. Y también si quieren mentalidad de emprendedor, empresarial, aquí, ¿cómo se dice? Porque quiero que sepan que hay mucha material que pueden leer para mejorarse. Si no quieren ni tomar clases, pues ahí está gratis la información. ¿Ok? Aprendan. Next. Okay, so what is resilience? Well, resilience is, as Thomas Edison said, right? Don't quit. In essence, this is quoted from what his philosophy was: our greatest weakness is giving up. The surest way to succeed is try one more time. So think of yourselves those times that you picked yourself up and gone forward, when you just felt like you just couldn't do it one more time, and when you were able to solve the problem because you tried one more time. That's the mindset you want to have. And that's what you want to convey to folks that you want to have on your side, such as lenders, bankers. By the way, this is probably a good time to share with you that I always like to share that, having been a lender and having been a small business owner, I know I have some advantages because I understand both sides of the table, so to speak, in borrowing money. And one of them is, I think, a mistake many small business owners, whether you're starting or already in business, mistake that is made is not making time to go and present yourself to the people in the bank or the alternative lenders or even SBA, officers, and tell them, this is who I am. I run this kind of a business. I have, if it's a startup, it's a startup, and what kind of business. If it's an ongoing business, this is what it is. And it could be just a basic courtesy introduction, because at some point it's going to be more effective for you to get what you need if they know who you are, or at least have met you, as opposed to you going and asking for help and they don't know at all who you are. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is you have an advantage if you do this. And so, put on your favorite piece of clothing, and with all confidence and a big smile, go in, shake the hand of the manager or whoever the lending people are, and say, listen, I just want you to know this is who I am, and this is what I do. And I may not need your help now, but if I come back later, okay, I wanted you to know a little bit about who I am. Aquí la idea es que tener resiliencia, ¿no? Porque lo que pasa muchas veces es nosotros nos damos cuando se pone difícil. Y aquí es una debilidad, ¿no? De darnos por vencidos. Y entonces les urjo que tengan una mentalidad de seguir siempre, intentar una vez más. Si tiene usted un negocio que es difícil, o hay problemas porque se le va un empleado. Yo trabajo muchos negocios y tienen ahorita, son tiempos cuando los empleados no regresan a los negocios, o es difícil cuando necesita ayuda con empleados, pero se van a poner mejor las cosas. Hay que pensar positivamente, ¿ok? Entonces piense usted de forma positiva y trate una vez más, y piense una vez cuando no tuvo buen éxito, y trató una vez más, ¿y qué pasó? Tuvo buen éxito. Entonces, no se den, hay que tener energía y traten de decirse entre ustedes, voy a tratar de tener éxito. Okay? Next. Okay, so let's take a look at this idea of the third part of this presentation, which is the banks, credit unions, alternative lenders, and SBA. So we know all of these, right, are active in some form of lending, especially during COVID. In Spanish, they're known as the bancos, cooperativos de crédito, prestamistas, alternativos, o SBA. Y sabemos que están activos durante estos tiempos de COVID y tiempos que, bueno, están normal, ¿no? And so in English, the idea of what I want to bring to you here is an understanding of maybe how they're similar and how they're different. Okay, so rather than think of them as, gee, they're all alike, they have money, they all think alike. Well, they use those four concepts: credit, remember, credit, collateral, remember I said cash flow, and I also said conditions, but they also differ in their own mission of why they exist and what they're to do. Okay, aquí les quería decir que son similar en que todos los bancos cooperativos de crédito, prestamistas, alternativos y SBA sí tienen préstamos que pueden hacer líneas de crédito, pero son distintos en otra forma, y quiero tratar de explicarles para que se preparen un poquito diferentes, si entienden cómo son diferentes. Okay? Next. Okay, so let's talk first banks and some credit unions in New Mexico. So there are many banks, there are many credit unions. What I encourage you to do is go to the bank where you're most comfortable, or the credit union you're most comfortable. That means, as I said earlier, go and introduce yourself. Get to know someone who's in a position to say yes or no, at least within that branch, okay? Bank, and work with them. Maybe open a business banking account if you don't have yet, a checking account, right? But banks and credit unions tend to be more similar. Banks are guaranteed by the FDIC. Look at the front door when you walk in, next time you walk in, if you're not aware of that. And what that stands for is the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. That means that although banks would like to make all kinds of loans, especially to entrepreneurs that are starting up, they're very regulated. And that's not the kind of loan that FDIC would look favorably on. That's why banks tend to look at loans that already exist, businesses that exist, that have a history behind them. Okay, so be careful. That doesn't mean you can't get a loan to start up with the bank, but it's not going to be as easy. The credit unions may be the same way. Okay, but a good lender, this is why I say go and introduce yourself, find out who these lenders are within the bank or credit union. Well, a good lender will look at a way to help you. They'll try to find a way that makes sense for you rather than outright saying no to you. You want to work with people that think in a positive frame of mind. Okay, and one of the programs they had that is over now was the PPP program. And so they were active in working with folks. If you have one of these, I would just encourage you to make sure that you stay in contact with your bank or credit union, because they are making recommendations to SBA whether it should be what? Forgiven or converted to a loan. So you see right off the bat, you want to have these folks helping you, okay? Aquí en español la idea es que los bancos y uniones de crédito, hay muchos para escoger en Nuevo México. Si ya tiene una relación con unos de ellos, quédense con el banco, el credit union, no de su relación, pero les urjo que vayan y preséntense con los funcionarios, con los gerentes, y díganle, yo tengo un negocio, este es mi negocio, algún día voy a necesitar su ayuda, y por eso estoy aquí. ¿Okay? Les conviene hacer eso, ¿ok? Los bancos y los credit unions son igual muchas veces porque están requisitos que les tienen, por ejemplo, con los bancos, FDIC viene siendo parte del gobierno que les tiene aseguranza a los bancos para que vayan a tener buen éxito. Si hay problemas, ellos aseguran que son los depositores, los que depositan en el banco, tienen sus cuentas aseguradas. Pero eso mismo, entonces, por esa misma razón, van a ser más particular cuando vienen analizando una aplicación para un crédito en un negocio nuevo. Porque un negocio nuevo tiene mucho riesgo, ¿no? Risk se dice en inglés, ¿ok? Los programas de PPP ya no existen, pero si tienen uno de estos, les urjo que hablen con su banco o credit union para estar claros los requisitos, ¿ok? Para no tenga usted que llegar algún día cuando les dicen, ¿sabes qué? Ahora va a ser préstamo. Era una como beca, pero ahora va a ser préstamo. Okay, so next. Okay, so here the idea is there are alternative community lenders. In the previous slide, I was saying, if you're a startup, historically, business banks, or even if it's not a business bank, a bank, a traditional bank that is insured by FDIC, and FDIC stands for the Federal Deposit Corporation, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. And what they do is they guarantee depositors at that bank that should anything happen to the bank, their funds are secure. Because of that, what happens is banks are very careful on who they make loans to. So you may not want to, or you may not be able to get your best consideration with a traditional bank startup. You may, if you have a creative lender, okay, but just want to be clear with you that, remember, go introduce yourself early on to these commercial lenders so they know who you are. Don't get yourself behind the 8 ball. Alternative lenders think a little bit better. They think outside the box. So many times their funds come from the U.S. Department of Treasury, from big organizations like the Ford Foundation. Even lenders make lines of credits to these alternative lenders and send them the loans they can't make because maybe they consider them to be a startup that's a little bit too risky. I work with both of these. I've been a loan officer with traditional banks and with alternative lenders, and I work as a consultant with both now. And I can tell you that it's simply matching to see which one's best for you. Both of them make lines of credit, microloans, and SBA 504 program, all focused on small business lending, okay? Aquí la idea es que existen prestamistas alternativos. Si usted tiene necesidad de un crédito, Google les puede decir quiénes son aquí en Nuevo México. Y hacen préstamos ellos también, ¿ok? Pero son más flexibles que los bancos. Por eso les explico. Hay que tener una idea que ellos también existen para ayudar a negocios pequeños. Next. So now we're at the SBA.gov website, and that's the place where you can go by clicking this website, SBA.gov. It is in English and Spanish. That's why it says Español here, let you know it's in Spanish. So your preference of language, you simply go in and you'll find that you can read a lot about the programs they have. Because we're in COVID, here's options for assistance under COVID. And so although the PPP program is no longer actively putting money out, they are actively deciding whether to forgive loans and to a lesser extent convert them to loans. So are they going to forgive that grant? Most of the time they do. But if there's exceptions, they may turn it to a loan. So we'll go in there and read about it. Van a leer acerca aquí en el SBA.gov de cómo le afecta si usted tiene una ayuda del PPP, si entonces lo van a hacer préstamo o si entonces van a decir, no, ya no tiene que pagar, si se quedó, ¿ok? Aquí pueden leer los detalles. Apart from that, there's a EIDL program, and those are during COVID, they're disaster loan programs at a real attractive rate, 3.75%. The EIDL program is there to help you get your traditional types of funding. One type of funding, just an example, is operating capital. So maybe what they want to do is, or what you need is money to pay expenses. That's the EIDL. The one to the right, as I face the computer, it's called the EIDL. Also, but it's for a disaster loan program that's a little bit different, and you may want to read about that because they also provide funding, but the requirements are a little bit different. Okay, these are all well detailed here. Aprovechen aquí en español está la información, SBA.gov, los programas de SBA, y también tienen lista de los bancos, con los bancos que pueden trabajar. Okay. Next. Entonces, bueno, pues la última cosa es decirles que existe también un programa para ustedes que tienen restaurante. There is a program for those of you that have a restaurant. It's an ongoing program called the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. SBA has it. Go and read the details at sba.gov. Okay, aquí pueden aprovechar ustedes si tienen restaurante, hay mucho dinero y existe el programa hasta el 11 de marzo 2023. Been a pleasure being with you all. So, thank you. Gracias a todos. Un gusto estar con ustedes.
I want to thank you as always, Dr. Lozano, for giving us such great information bilingually in English and Spanish. I want to remind everyone that SBDC directors and advisors can help you with write a business plan, form your business, identify funding options, develop marketing programs, and create projections. We can do this throughout the entire life cycle of your business. So we're not here just for the first time, we're here every step of the way. So again, thank you, Dr. Lozano, and we
Very
will
welcome.
see
Thank you,
everyone.
Leslie.
Thank you. We will see you next time.
All right.
Bye,
Good
everybody.
night.